All right. Hey, everybody. It is good to see you, and I'm glad you're here to join us for Old Gray Bricks, our live show on Thursday night. And we have a full room tonight. We still have one slot. If one of our folks who usually join us wants to join in, we have room for you tonight. Brom, thanks for joining us. Yeah, I went ahead and scheduled some shows for my vacation, and it may have bumped the link down for folks. So hopefully our viewers will join us here. But we do have quite a few folks in the room. We got Meredith and Miss. Oh, y'all are pink wheels and teal wheels. I didn't realize that. I didn't notice. That's awesome. Troubles Brewing and Fleet Mark Sandler's here. Brian's here. Matt is here. Rich is here and moving as we speak. Gil, Greg from the Great White North, and Ryan is here. So just I want to thank you. I want to take a moment of personal privilege to say 7 years ago, I got a cancer diagnosis. So it is good to be breathing, good to be okay, and good to be clear of all that. And a lot of people in this room supported me during that time, and I'm forever grateful. So, and I'm glad that some of your hair grew back. I'm sorry, Ryan. Anyway, so, but they shaved their heads for me and all that kind of jazz. And I said it, Brom. But so I want to just say thank you for that, for doctors, and for getting through all that stuff with a clean bill of health. Except if I would stop eating cheeseburgers, I'd be much better off. But that is okay. So thank you for supporting me. Thank you for just being a good, positive, awesome influence in my life. Let's go around the room, and we'll just go in reverse order, sort of. So let's head up to the great state of New York and check out what Ryan is up to. Oh, we got one more coming in. There's Nick. How you doing, man? He's got his audios. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it.
The dirty Nickster.
He looked. Man, there's something. He was in that corner in the lighting. I'm like, man, is that a goon coming to get me? He was all very, very, very mafia going on there. That was awesome. All right, Ryan, what is up in your world, Lego world? What can you let us know about Legoland and all that kind of stuff?
We're still building it. In other news, I've got a different Legoland action going on. I was telling the panel just before we went live.
Don't wrinkle.
I'm so disrespectful. Heckin' disrespectful. So I somewhat inherited a tote of mixed, mashed Lego stuff, including a few instructions of old sets that we talked about a couple weeks ago. This is all before my time. I'm just a little bit on the younger side of Old Gray Bricks, but I will be trying to figure out during this call and maybe future calls what I've gotten here and what of it is actually complete in this mess of a box.
Sweet. Good deal. All right. That's awesome. Has it been raining? Has that hampered y'all up there, or has it been okay?
Weather's been good. It's cooled off a little bit, which I enjoy. My family can't say the same.
Used to Florida, now it's winter in spring-like weather, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's look in the chat over here. Brom is here. Jeff McElwee, good to see you. Brett Spills, always good to see you. David Cooties is here. And Richard is in here and in the chat. And it's awesome to see you. All right, Brian, let's go to you and your awesome Lego wall that you always have for us. Is that Galador?
I don't see anything. I don't see a thing.
Maybe who's asking?
Is that Galador? Oh.
It sure is Galador for Game Boy Advance.
Man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So this week I got a pretty cool old sealed set from eBay.
Oh, sealed?
Yeah. So it was, I want to say, I think like $30 free shipping. And I was like, it goes for double that on Bricklink, and I'd love to unbox this for the channel. So had to get it.
Nice. That's awesome. What is that, about 95? Or when was that?
It says 97 on it.
97. Okay.
Part of the RoboForce, which I didn't even know that was a faction. There were so many space factions in the 90s. Can't keep up with them. But yeah, that's my new exciting thing for the week. So
That's cool. That's when space was really starting to peter out. They were running out of ideas.
They did the same thing with underwater. They had like 7 different underwater factions in the 90s, and not many of them appeal to me. But yeah,
Yeah,
So-
it's actually interesting. Is it one of the sites like the Brick Fan or one of them has actually the shots from some unused Lego space factions where they were actually going to a water planet, and then that's where some of the Aquazone stuff came from and everything. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And some of the alternate colors for Blacktron and other stuff like that. Super cool. But yeah, man. So are you going to open it or are you going to leave it like that?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna open it and review it for my channel, Brian's Bricks.
Are you going to treat it? Are you going to treat it with more respect than Ryan is treating his Lego?
No, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna crush the box. I'm like, I can't get it out.
Just start slamming it on the table. Yeah.
If you guys have any better ideas,
The best way to open the box is just to soak it in the tub.
just let it dissolve.
That's awesome. All right, let's see who else is in the chat. Stever has joined us, so it's good to see you. All right, wish that happened. Oh yeah. All right, so let's go to the Great White North here. Let's head up to Mr. Greg. What is going on?
Midland, White North.
Big guy. Not much actually this week. Really haven't been doing too much. However, sort of like vague teaser. Actually, I found on Instagram a guy who did a kind of really cool photo backdrop for. I don't want to really give too much away, but for something, taking a picture of something doing something. There you go.
Thanks for being so
anyway, yeah. So
Okay.
kind of what I hope to, if I can, pull it together for next week. It would do 2 things. It would be the photo shoot, but then it'd also be a build which I have had on my desk for 9 years. That is like 90% done. And so it's the culmination of that, and maybe hopefully in to something of an interesting bit of a shot. So
wow.
there you go. Cool. Teaser. That's it.
Could you do week after week of ridiculously vague teaser?
Well, yes, because actually that's how I enticed my wife to marry me. I dragged her along.
In progress.
Yes.
Wait till you see what happens next week.
Exactly.
Dana will ask you all the questions he wants to know. So
Exactly.
All right, that's good. How is the weather up there? Since we're talking about weather, because it is stormy and weathery down here. So
I would like to blame you guys for the heat. It's unpleasant. It's somewhere around what I can't remember what it is in Hogsheads, but in like 22 or something like that. So yeah, but we're waiting impatiently on the snow to cleanse us as it does.
You don't have showers?
All right, let's head up the East Coast here and go to Nick. Nick, what's going on, man?
After last week's realization that I haven't done any of this, I'm getting back into it.
Nice. Sorting.
We'd have a wash and sort process that has fallen by the wayside, but we're going to get back into it where we do cycle after cycle after cycle of washing Lego and then putting it away. And by we, I mean me.
You make it sound so exciting.
It builds a lot of character. The kind of character that shops cars by climbing in the trunk.
All right.
So given the slick nature of your coif tonight and the towel that's holding the Lego, can we assume then that you bathe with the pieces before you?
So the word of the night is shower.
All right, this is already.
I don't know what shower is. So it's bathing.
I know. You're going to learn today, Sesame Street.
Oh, here we go. All right, Kim Marlowe Bricks, good to have you here. I know your audio's off, and you're gonna watch it later. MJ Bricks, good to have you here. Mr. Barry just popped in the room. Good to see you. Brett Spills, I think I mentioned you before, but we're glad you're here. I saw somebody else, I believe. Duju's here, so Stever's here. Good. So glad you guys are joining us. And all right, so let's head to Mr. Rich. Rich, how you doing over there?
I'm doing well, thank you. I am removing stuff from the small parts room. We actually took several of the stacks that used to live here to the storage unit.
What did you
And
just call
tonight, stacks.
No, what
They're
room?
like stacks.
The small parts room.
The
You have
small parts room.
multiple
This
rooms?
is the small parts room. Small parts.
Is it exhausting going
As
through
in, you have
one room to
multiple
Small
another?
parts.
Hey, Howie's, I forgot you're there. Howie's on Twitch. I forgot to mention you're the one I couldn't find. Good to have you here, Howie. Go ahead.
Anyway, we took some stacks to the storage unit, and for this evening, my fun-filled task is to remove my cadre of custom minifigs from my Lego crown molding. No Lego was harmed in the process, and put it in. Oops, did we lose me?
No,
Hold on
you're
a second.
still there.
Okay, and put it in
What room are you
several
in now?
floors. Several floors of my 19-story building, modular building. I'm just packing them in there, and when we're all done with this, I'll tape up the sides of that thing, and that'll go to the storage unit too.
Wow.
Did you say 19 floors?
Yeah,
I think there's a
19
Plaza
floors.
vibe to that.
The actual building stands about this high off the floor. It's in pictures in my Flickr. It doesn't look much different from when I put it together 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Okay, is your Lego room 19 floors or is your building
No,
19 floors?
just this modular building.
Okay,
this
all right. I mean, I can
skyscraper.
see where both would be accurate. So, I mean,
It
you
could
know,
be accurate. It could be more accurate in about 6 months when I buy my new, penthouse apartment office building and have all the Lego in there. So,
yeah.
So-
you know how it goes.
Is
There's
that-
a question: how many figs are in a quadri? So that just something people want to know.
There are, I set them up in custom minifig stasis compartments. See the little
Oh, hang on.
dials there?
Hang on. Let me get you back to big screen here. Here we go. There you go.
The little dials there. That's their stasis pod, and hung them from the crown molding. See, so that's
Wow.
what's in there. I've done 2 floors. I'm about ready to start the 3rd one, and that'll go for my superheroes up on the wall too, including the Dr. Ox. They'll go in one of floors.
Huh. Wow.
Is that how you get your cardio in? Run into the small parts room and back?
I'd like to say yes, but no. What I did is got cardio in, taking my stacks to the storage facility today.
So, the question: do you have like an Airbnb? Like, can I book a night in this small parts room?
Why? Did you want to rent one, or for 2
Where
nights?
are we right now? This is the
This
best
is the
episode.
garage. This,
Oh,
this
man.
is the
It's like
garage.
their rich project.
Some of the stacks went to the storage facility. We actually
Jeez.
loaded them in here.
The car's
Write
made of
it
Lego
down.
too, right?
You can fit so much Lego in this bad boy.
Yeah, we
How many of-
put in 7 stacks in here.
And that's your big bins you've moved out, right?
These guys,
How many
7 of
bins
these.
have gone to the storage room, to the storage unit?
Well, the recycling bins were all along the back wall, plus some Rubbermaid bins. That was, all along the back wall, plus some IKEA bins, plus IKEA bins up there. That's all gone. These are going next.
Oh, did we lose him? He must have frozen. So maybe the evidence of the
The
missing
storage unit.
somebody. There he goes. Here he goes again. I have a feeling we're going to see evidence to solve a murder as he goes. I don't know why,
But whose?
but I know, right?
I personally
All right.
can't wait to see I can't wait to see the pagoda in the backyard full of nothing but 4x4 radar.
The old pool.
But that's the state of affairs here at the Lego Mansion, the Playwell Mansion. I actually have a sign on the front of the house that says Playwell Mansion.
Wow. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Let's go to Meredith to Pink Wheels and Teal Wheels. How are y'all this evening? Y'all are muted, by the way.
You gonna say anything like good evening?
Hi.
Anything?
I gotta laugh. We gotta laugh. That's good. What are
She
y'all
wants
doing
as much
today?
Lego as I have when she grows up. That's what she's saying.
No, she's saying, goodness gracious, we probably need a bigger house because Daddy keeps getting more Lego, right?
That's okay.
So we're working on Diagon Alley. We're on building 4 out of 3. She's built by herself the Weasley's Wheezes and the Flourish Boss. I mean, she built them. We just do the stickers because we're all terrible at stickers. So she's like, do the stickers, right? Did you build them all? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's been building Diagon Alley all by herself. And what are we waiting for on the ship? More sales. So she made me bring the ship upstairs since we're building on the table. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. You said you got to bring the ship up. So
Yay, ship update.
So the sales are still on the way from the UK?
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
It looks great.
So amazing.
Nice.
Have you tried floating it on the lake yet?
Don't do that. That's awesome.
It is so great.
It really is.
I want Brick Fair to happen just so you guys can bring that and show that off. I mean, I'm excited for you guys to show that off. So
Where are the rocket engines we talked about?
Oh, she muted. Y'all are muted, by the way.
It again. I actually got a better idea for a spaceship. I was inspired with those engines and the Trolls pods.
Oh, all
Does
right.
anyone use the Trolls pods to build a spaceship?
Cool.
No?
That'd be neat.
Yeah?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I bet you that'll be something like Moto builds too. It'll look really awesome. All right, who have I not gotten to yet? Have we got Matthew? Matthew, what's going on, man?
So I finished Diagon Alley last week, and that was a lot of fun. And I bought 2 other Harry Potter sets, literally just for the parts. So I've now disassembled the other 2 sets, the Astronomy and the Attack, and I've been sorting, and I got parts orders from Denmark. Yay! So I've been sorting those out, and I'm putting them in the collection. At the end of the summer semester, I rewarded myself by ordering several parts orders, and now they're all in the mail or they're here. So it's like delayed Christmas in July, but now it's Christmas in September.
It feels like Christmas in March 15 years ago. But anyway.
Yeah. Is it ever?
All right, good deal. How's the cathedral going?
It's totally. There's been a strike in Italy. You know, the workers in Italy, they're always striking. So after I'm about to go on a little vacation for turning the big 0 birthday. So when we get back, the workers will go back to work and we'll finish that cathedral.
All right, that's good. I'm headed to that birthday in about 5 months myself. So, well, good deal. Good. All right, so Mr. Sandlin, I believe you are next. What's going on in your world, man?
Lots and lots of sorting. So I'm getting out old bins of old stuff like this. And yeah, we got the peanut gallery over there talking about how he likes to swipe stuff. Here's the Small Paul Cam. What's up, Small Paul?
Nope,
Swipe or no swiping?
He's
Yoga Cam.
lounging in the expansive room that he's got. He's all stretched out.
That's my cam.
Yeah, you're on Small Paul Cam. There it is. Hi, everybody.
Oh, you need more parts on the floor.
Yeah. We
Start spreading them.
2 hours.
Everywhere.
It took us 2 hours to pick up all of that.
The Bearded Brick, welcome. Glad to have you here.
So yeah, I'm doing a whole lot of sorting and yeah, that's pretty much it right now. I haven't built anything new lately. Sort.
Look, something new.
Lots of room for activities. All the activities. All right. Did you have you found? Didn't you say you found some old stuff? What? I missed it. What is that?
Said build something new. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean,
That's how I speak to my model builders.
I am. Okay, so yeah, I'm digging out old stuff. Like this is a pod that probably is close to 20 years old, and it's Gil's fault because he built something like this and posted it on LugNet, and the following week, about 800 other people posted little variations of just. This was back when the 8x8 dish was actually hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
Came out with the escape pod for Star Wars with R2 and C-3PO in it, and it had. Did it have 1 or 2 of these in it? I don't remember.
It had 1.
Okay, but in any case, it made this 8x8 dish a lot easier to get suddenly, because prior to that, I think you had to have one of the classic space bases to have this big dish.
You had to either have that, or there was a train car that was the snow plow with a spinning thing on the front, a snow blower for the train, and it had 1 in it. Yeah, but it was hard to get.
Really rare before the Star Wars set came out that had the 8x8 dish in it. Anyway, when these became easily accessible, everybody was like, I can make that. And, you just take some snot pieces on the side and stick some dishes together and put a little window on the front like this. And you can make a little spaceship. It was fun.
Yeah. You know what? That may even be before, the 1x4 snot brick came out or it was around that time because you had to do some funky stuff to get the snot going, right? Yeah,
on this one, I think I used the Technic brick, and then I stuck a couple of the 2x2s on there to make it work.
Do you know who really sort of revolutionized those two was Chris Madison. He figured out a way to do them 2 wide, to use the 2 wide canopy. And then he mounted those finger joints on the side, so then they opened up. So the canopy opened up, and then the 2 sides they opened up, and they were really slick. Like he's like a genius, man. Like that guy. He actually, it feels like him and Tyler, even though being a few years apart in age, they're split from the same egg. Like they've kind of got they put together stuff where it's so simple, but it's so brilliant at the same time, And but yeah, he made a whole bunch of those, and then Paul, the guy, what's his last
Paul Block.
Block, yeah, he made a carrier with those. That was down the spine had 12 of the things, which was really, really cool.
I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Those were those revolutionary builds back in the day. We're like, whoa, you can do that and everything. Yeah. So, all right. I believe I've been all the way around the room. Look at Ryan. He's discovering the good Lego. Look at, is it broken? Oh, it's smashed.
Bang it on the table like lame instructions.
You're muted.
Sorry, my wife's got a thing going next to me. Yeah, it's there may be teeth marks. It's not in good shape.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it doesn't. It can't even fit on the dude's head.
So sad.
So sad. Well, you need to use it. Put a skull on that guy and his crushed helmet, and put him in he's dead on the moon or something.
No, what you need to do is pick up the torch and keep chewing, Rye. Just pop it.
So far, I'm finding a lot of stuff that's in the set. So it's been been pretty good so far.
Which is awesome.
Beautiful. All right, let's go to Dana and let's see what's up and go with our gold gray set of the week. So what's going on with you, man?
So first off, as David pointed out, those dishes originally came in the Beta 1, Mission Command, and the Galaxy Explorer. So for those paying attention at home, that's where those dishes originally came from. Moving on, as you can see in the back here, I finished the Maz Eisley.
Nice.
Just an awesome set. I know everybody was all excited about the Barracuda Bay set and the Haunted Mansion set and that Diagon thing for Harry Potter and whatnot. But no, this is the set you want to go get. It's jam-packed of great figures, really great build ideas. I want to expand and make more of a town, make more of Maz Eisley using the kind of style they've done. The one thing I have to complain about this set, though, and it's a nitpicky thing, is that the top is a skylight. There's no actual roof, which is kind of cool because you can see down inside without having to take it off, and you can see all the cool details that are going on in there. But at the same time, it feels just a little incomplete in that one area. So that is something I want to fix for mine. So that I'm going to add that to my laundry list of 50 things that I would like to do and probably will never get done. But hopefully we'll get to it. Other than that, this week has been kind of just cleaning stuff up. I've been taking apart X-Wings and all sorts of stuff to make some space. I think I mentioned this on Monday that everything in the office is going to change to Star Wars UCS and Classic Space, except for the Boba Fett shrine will stay there in the middle just because that's where it needs to stay.
Finally.
Yeah, get that other junk out of here.
Yeah, it's got to go. It's got to go. So we're cleaning things up, trying to make things a little better. I don't know. We'll see how this works. Maybe that means I'll start moving some stuff to the basement and try working on that Scrooge McDuck scenario that's going on down there. So, so with that, my shortened Lego week, let's move to my other screen, Chris, and we will talk about Old Gray Brick set of the week. This set is
you guys try so hard.
is 6750 Sonic Robot.
Oh.
I actually am. I kind of cheated this week because this was actually my my classic or my space set of the day on my Instagram account and on the Classic Space Facebook groups that I'm part of. So I wanted to go ahead and just kind of use this at the same time because when I was pulling it out to take a picture of it, I'm like, you know what? We just got to talk about this because this was, well, let's get to the details first. So, Classic Space, 1986.
Towards the end.
We're getting towards the last couple of years here. 103 pieces, which is kind of impressive for this set. You got a blue spaceman and a red spaceman.
Thank you for not swapping their hands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Retail price on this was a whopping $9.99, which in retrospect is kind of pretty good for what you actually got in this set. Today, used price is going to run you about $45 if you can find a used one. And then if you happen to find one in the box, it will run you anywhere from $170 to $580 US. So there is actually one in box for sale in Germany, and the guy's asking $580. So I don't think he's going to get it, but good for him.
Yeah, nope.
Why is it cool? Well, this is an odd set in general, but the first and foremost, of course, is it's got lights and sound. Second thing being, it's a good parts pack. When you break this set up, I mean, because it's a little odd in general, it almost kind of reminds you of the Robot Commander set in its oddness, but it's got good parts to it. So you got your yellow hoses, your red antennas, computer screens in white, arrow tiles. That's good stuff. And of course, for a set that's $9 back then that you got two spacemen in, that was a bargain right there. And so what else makes this set it's just odd. So I got some varying reactions on the Facebook groups about this set today. About some people saying, "Oh, this was," there was a couple people, not many people who were saying, "Hey, this was my first set," but often that like it was their third set, or I remember my brother having this. It was coveted by several people just because of the sheer fact that it had lights and sound. So
yeah.
And
What
again,
it looks like though, it's almost like a creepy robotic Santa that you're forcing those two kids to sit on his lap.
yes, I would totally agree with that.
It's Krampus, not Santa.
I was thinking more Sophie's Choice situation here. Which one do I pick?
It's kind of got a Krampus look to it, but so one of the odd things is that it comes with probably about another, and the bag is somewhere down in the vault. It's like I want to say there was at least another 10 or 12 pieces that came with the set that you didn't use in the instructions. There was 2 extra contact plates. You got, instead of just the red trans red light bulb cover, you got a yellow one and a green one as well. Some additional other pieces. So I think what Lego was really doing was kind of saying, hey, here's your starter lights and sound set, and we're going to make it at a so-so price and give you a couple extra figures, and you can run from there. So again, odd pack, but great parts and kind of a cool thing. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my other, if you want to switch me back, Chris.
By the way, is the top of the head of that is inverted, right? It's built studs down, right?
It is built studs down. And here I'll show one. Switch me to
that gets you a inverted white computer, which is one of the holy grails, right?
Yeah. So, Chris.
Yes. Wait, where's the button? There it is.
So, all right, there we go. So there.
Oh, you got that dang fig back there. I see it right now. Just shove it off the table.
but wait, his buddy's in here too with
the. Geez, that hurts my soul.
The troll fig.
We'll just put them over there for fun, and then notice they are ready with this set. So it's not uncommon for them to be hanging out.
It's winter in space, and those are their mittens.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can hear it. Does it come through?
No, but I'm
screaming. Oh man, it's screaming.
It's screaming. So some of the odd things on this set, and maybe I'll turn off the flashing just because that's going to cause somebody a seizure in China or something like that. But the one thing I didn't like is that these are held on by, I would say, a Mark. This maybe be where Mark or Chris got the idea to hold things together with just one stud connections, because these little chairs are just barely hanging on here, which is a little odd, but they are good little space chairs. You can't go wrong with those.
That is a Fazoom trademark.
What's that?
That is a Fazoom trademark.
A Fazoom trademark. So the single connection point. And you've got the little dial on there that you can turn the sound on and off. And there is actually 2 different sounds.
It kind of bothers me where that knob is located.
It is a little odd, isn't it? So, but yeah, you've got the one sound, and if you turn it, you get a different sound.
Just real life.
Show me on the robot where Dana touched you.
Lego was knocking it out of the park. But yeah, as Chris had mentioned, that the head is actually connected by a turntable plate that is inverted. So you did get that inverted white computer screen, and also a white 1x2 with grid lines on it. So again, good parts pack, just kind of an odd set in general. Not one of Lego's prettiest space sets, but still a worthy set nonetheless. So,
but you got the trends, yellow hoses. I mean, that to me is an awesome part pack. Those orange and white are hard to get at that time.
Yep.
Because they were early, but they didn't have them very often. Those the thrusters in white were hard to get. The trans red rockets were really good, and also an excellent band. The flyable space chairs and everything. It almost looks like it's a robotic nanny for those 2 space babies. That's what it looks like.
I actually kind of like the robotic nanny space baby scenario. I think that's actually very accurate description.
It was anticipating the new HBO show Raised by Wolves, where children are raised by androids.
Yeah.
Raised by androids. There you go.
Raised by droids. And it also came with a virtual plethora for the price of printed white arrow parts.
Yes, you did get several of them, which I don't think we got. We don't see as many of those printed arrows again until Futron. So, which is a whole 2 years later, which is interesting.
And there's a new printed arrow piece that harkens back to that. It's kind of got the dashed lines and the arrows, and it's quite nice. So the sounds go higher as you turn the dial. Yeah, I mean, they put that in 2 or 3 sets, right? And then there's one in the monorail. Is that right?
Yes. As well, I'm trying to remember if the sound is in the monorail. I think it is. Yeah, the sound. They always included the sound dial, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they made a bunch of those. So.
Yeah. So when before the show started, when Ryan was looking at his instructions, he's got the instructions for the FX Star Patroller, which is, I think, the set that comes out right after this one. And then there's even one more bigger set after that. So those were the 3 lights and sound that happened in Classic Space.
Yeah, I never had that one. I remember seeing it on the shelf, but it was kind of pricey for what you got.
Which is interesting that the bigger sets were like overpriced, and this one was moderately priced.
Yeah, but then you get this moderately priced one. You've got the play feature for those other things, and who needs it, right?
Right. So you can turn around and take your Game of 5 Lasercraft or whatever, and pop it and throw it and make it sound. So
that's right. Yeah, there was a sound brick different for the town. All that kind of stuff. That system was interested in having the molded metal that was introduced into the brick, and I'm sure it was really expensive for Lego to do.
Yeah,
probably lost a bunch. They've already outsourced that too. It was cool, but it was also kind of weird. And that 9-volt battery lasts you about a day, and it was done, right? So
exactly.
Do you actually know what else was really cool about those light and sound sets is the little gel caps that went over the lights, which we've all used tons of, because for now for space running lights or whatever, they're gold, right? They're hard to find now too.
Yeah, and then Lego continued making something of that type, what they call the Baraki eye or something that has the post in it, bar connection, so they won't fall off and roll under the table and you never see them again. So,
but those caps are great because you just throw them on wherever you want, right? Like they're so cool. Yeah.
Was that Repair Bot? I can't remember. I remember that bot, but I don't.
I think this guy was like a little car wash bot. See, he's got his little cloth.
Maybe
it's ahead of its time. It looks like the one that was on Mandalorian that was paddling the boat down the lava river.
Little schmutz on there. Let me get that for you.
I'm sorry, I don't have any cash on me, sir. I'll get the next driver. So,
IG1.
Can I sell you a bottle of water, sir?
Let's see. I saw somebody else. Jay, it's good to have you in
here.
Look,
Rich is showing off.
Do what?
Look what Rich is showing off. But I think that's one of the posts.
Oh, dude, look at all that.
Wow.
But it's a mix of both, I think.
It looks like
is that in a different room?
It looks like Fruity Pebbles.
The whole new room just for these. Go to the barred and non-barred.
So you've got the cohabitating?
Again,
top there, yeah.
Listing going to be up for small parts for him.
I don't know. I should know.
Small parts.
What was that? What was that?
It's a magical land that only few can visit.
Airbnb listing going to be up for the small parts for him.
I could charge $500 a night.
Can we just get a scoop of bricks to go home? I mean, that would be great. Fill a bag. All right. So tonight we wanted to talk about, and honestly, I'm just going to say, because we're going on vacation. My family is getting away from town and going to see my dad, and I'll be safe and stuff like that. And it was making me think of, I finished my spaceship like a week and a half ago, and I really haven't wanted to build. I mean, I've just not had the drive. I've not had the urge, and I got to sort, so that's a little depressing as well. But we have all probably either had the build slump, or we have had the gray age, or we have had I'm just taking taking a couple of weeks off and it ends up 6 months from really sitting down at the Lego table or all that kind of thing. And so we've all had that moment. We've also all had that moment where we're building and we're clicking along really well with a build, and all of a sudden we hit a wall of creativity. Either the structure doesn't work, the look is not coming out, and you get, I get frustrated and I just kind of throw it aside or whatever. Let's talk about just when you've had those moments and what's caused them, and maybe then we can talk about some ways to get through it. I even invited Tyler back. He couldn't make it tonight, but he actually gave me a quote on that. I'll share it later on what he does when he hits the wall. So the Lego Master himself, he will hit the creative wall. And by the way, you should check out his social media. He posted a sketch drawing of Gandalf that he did, and it is amazing. He is not just a Lego builder. He is quite the artiste. So you need to look up Tyler Kleitz on social media and everything to see that. So anybody want to go ahead and start? Just tell a time where you have basically just hung the bricks up for a little while, and why?
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes like you're saying, you just run out of mojo and you got to do something else for a while. So like myself, I have some other hobbies. Look at that.
Oh, wait, hang on. There we go.
Transformers, or other Japanese robot-y things too. Lots of stuff in there. You're getting the Small Paul soundtrack with that. But yeah, sometimes I've done other stuff. I dabbled in the Warhammer 40K hobby for a while, and that's an expensive hobby.
Money bags over there.
But yeah,
Lego, that's saying something.
I spent a couple of years playing that. I've done some other stuff, and I've got mishmashes of other little bits of hobby stuff around. So sometimes you'll do something like that and come back and build something Lego, like a Blatron version of a Warhammer Space Marines land speeder.
Oh, cool.
So, sometimes you can get inspiration from your other hobbies. Or just fun stuff to do, different ideas, different stuff. Sometimes you can get inspired, get ideas from other things, bring it back to Lego. Just kind of take a breather.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes for me. Is my hobbies come in waves. So when I'm not feeling 40, that's true. Yeah, like when I'm not feeling any inspiration for Lego or any desire to buy or collect Lego, because that's usually what I do. I'll go to like something like Magic or video games or whatever, or I'll build in Studio if I find that like I'm not having creativity with the pieces in front of me. I'll just go like fiddle around digitally and just use whatever pieces I can, or just because they have all the pieces there. So something like that, where you use pieces that you don't have in front of you to just try something new.
All right.
I'd say for myself, I definitely do have periods where I run out of steam creatively. I'm actually kind of weird when I'm building my architecture type buildings. I tend to build very, very quickly. So I can sit down and buildings that I've sometimes made in 3 days with 3 full stories. And then I'll go a long period of time where I'm not building creatively. But for me, I build a lot of store sets. And so I have an entire rack of sets that I bought that I haven't built yet. And in my house, my partner is partially disabled, so we're home a lot. And if I'm kind of burnt out mentally from work, I can sit down and build a set from instructions, and it just requires less mental energy. And so I'll often build a store set in a time period where I'm just too tired to feel creative. And the other thing for me is time of day. So I'm a lot more full of energy in the morning. This is what happens when you hit the big 5-0, apparently. And so,
or before.
If I run into a block at night, it's amazing how often if I walk into the Lego room first thing in the morning, if I don't have a morning class, I could just walk in here and sit down for an hour. That morning hour, I almost always can figure out the thing that was causing me frustration the night before. So,
oh yeah, right.
I've learned that little trick. So, and then there's always sorting. I mean, and for me, I'm OCD, so sorting makes my mind relax. I may be one of the few people that enjoys sorting in the sense that having it all sorted into little color cups, it just makes me feel good. It's a Zen meditation and sorting. So
I would say that everyone in this room would love for you to come and relax at our house. Just come on over.
Send some over here.
We should talk, and you should get in line over here first.
I will say, I think sorting helps me when I get a block. I sort some of the random bulk my husband has, and I find something or a part or something that inspires me, and it just clicks. But sometimes I have to sort for like 2 days straight, and I find a bunch of parts saying it'd be really cool if we put these together, or this part looks awesome. It's a really wacky old part, but it could look awesome with these other new colors. That's just how I see it. Or she comes up with a new idea. She's my muse. Sorting helps.
she needs to give the rest of us some ideas.
Matt, you got any good ideas? No.
I need to know.
The last idea was a pub style, a katina, a most Eisley katina for Diagon Alley, Nocturne Alley.
No, that was yours.
You said I had to make Nocturne Alley, and I need to make it like all creepy, and we're gonna have to put a pub in it, right? Yeah, there we go. Magical.
What if you put Cantina Aliens into Diagon Alley?
That's what we have to do because, hey, in Diagon Alley, anything goes. I mean,
Right.
there's trolls, there's elves, there's centaurs.
That's Ryan. You guys. Ryan just put a class. Have you? I don't know if you've seen. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. I don't know if you've seen Robot Chicken, where he's talking about going and picking up some power converters, and actually he goes to a dance club kind of thing. That could happen with the friends. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know how you would pull that off, but I'm just saying you could do that. Look, we lost somebody. I didn't see. Hey, Bama Bricks, I see you over there in the chat. There, good to have you here. Those are great sources of inspiration. That sounds good. Just a quick side note: Have you ever built something and stayed up late building it, and you finally got a night's sleep, and you go down and you go, "That is total junk," and rip the whole thing apart?
Every summer before Brick Fair.
But it's like Matt said, though, you get some sleep, you get some clarity, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, that was dumb. And I mean, there was a total restart on this ship when I got the front of it done, and I was trying to do something clever, and I'm like, and I thought about it, and I'm like, I could do that simpler. And then I woke up in the morning, and in 20 minutes, I had rebuilt the whole thing. And it was much simpler and much stronger than what I was trying. So, yeah, good night's sleep and a little fresh perspective help in that kind of thing. So, all right, anybody else got a tale of when they about hung it up or when they were at a building block or something like that?
So, I'll go.
Yeah, okay, go, Nick. Go.
All right, well, I was going to say I go cyclically, and I was building for Brick Fair up until this year, every year. So, June and July, every night, up late building. Wake up the next morning, go and look at it, and say, "What the heck was I thinking?"
Right,
and kick about 20% of it off the table. So we get back from Brick Fair after that first weekend in August, and that's it. I'm done for at least 2 months. Of the year, and it's sort if you can, or let it build up for 8 years.
Yeah. So does that mean you're going to have double for Brick Fair next year when we have it?
You'd think that, except Brick Fair, I found that since the advent of family time here, that a lot of my creativity has been driven by deadline, whether it's Brick Fair or a Christmas card or a contest deadline that I never end up entering. Defining done has been an issue with builds in the past, too.
No.
Well,
I understand.
No piece of art is ever actually finished. It's abandoned.
Right.
I mean, I would say for us, our Brick Fair is in Martin Luther King weekend in January, and I'm always pretty burnt out after that. Like, I enjoy seeing everybody else's builds, but when I get home, usually the next month, I don't build anything. And here in Atlanta, we inevitably seem to have 2 shows right after Brick Fair. So it's like I'm transporting stuff and things are falling off buildings and I'm doing emergency repairs. but it feels like I don't build creatively at all in February and March. Like, so I think you're not alone in that sort of post-show burnout.
Yeah.
But it's the best week of the year, and it's the longest month after.
I can remember going.
I will say, if you really want to burn yourself out, be in the GDC pit.
Earplugs.
Yes. Well, it's like you're in a state of shock afterwards. It's a lot of work.
Do you see the machines? Do you see the things going by and all that kind of stuff?
I just see how crappy I feel at GBC and how I should never put it on a table when it's this unreliable. And what was I thinking?
Understood. I remember going to the first Brick Fair I went to, or it was Brick Fest in 2002. I came back from that one energized to build more because it was the first time, and I'd only built a couple of small things and taken it, and had been encouraged to build more. And so I fired up and really started building, right? Then after that, it was when I would go to one of those things, and it was a 11-hour drive too to go to Brick Fair. I got home and I'm like, I remember that first one. I got home and like, man, I'm going to build again like I did last year. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Maybe a couple months, maybe a small thing, sort out some of the stuff I got, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was definitely an overload and a burnout. But yeah, you do need those respites though, right? To recharge everything. So now Mark mentioned it. He talked about other hobbies. Is there other hobbies you guys do? Well, yeah, actually, tell me about them.
And that was going to be my tie-in to that. Is that I've got like I said way back when I came on the first stream, my first name was Creative Moron, which is still truer every single day. And it's like the problem I find is that it's actually too many hobbies. I could do it less because I'm sort of like inspired by all of them, usually at the same time. And so they're like competing, right? And so kind of the only way that I've found that I give everything a little bit of my time is I funnel it now all through the photography. So I have in my mind the shot that I want. And whether or not it's, one of these 6-inch action figures, whether it's one of the Transformers, whether it's a Lego build, it's all driven to make the shot. So it's sort of the one unifying factor. And man, I'm so happy to find it because it's given me some direction. Because beforehand, like Dana said before, you're kind of going like this, right? Like you don't know which way, and you feel like you're only doing half a job on all of them or a third of a job. So yeah, I found that like I was really struggling with it before because and you know how it is with a hobby that if you're not progressing, if you're not sort of evolving and improving, it gets depressing really fast because you just feel like you're not sort of like itching that creative scratch, right? Or the reverse. So it's, I find that for me, the photography has worked. The other secondary thing is that it's actually something that came up in the chat here about, and I know, Chris, you and I have talked about this at length in years past, that I think for a lot of us at one point, if Lego hasn't been a crutch, it's definitely been a comfort, right? Whether or not it's like, yeah. And like, whether it's a personal health issue, a personal trauma, a loss or something like that. And I think for most of it tends to go back to our childhood. We probably served that function there at some point too. But then as an adult, it's much more acute. So that being the case, I find now that if you hit like a stressful time, sometimes if things are just not going great, when you come in and even if you spend a couple nights sorting, like Matthew was saying, or, you're building something, you kind of get this sense that the world is right again. And I think that David in the chat was saying the same thing. It's like that. It's that thing that allows you through. And I find actually that is what brings me back specifically to Lego more than all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I agree. It's a constant. David was saying that in the chat. It's a constant. It's been a constant for me, through childhood, and it is an easy it accomplishes a lot of things like music does. You're using all of your brain, creative and logic and all that kind of stuff. But it allows you then to gear out and get in a lane, where there's no traffic, and you can rest and relax, all that kind of stuff.
And also the big thing with Lego above all those other things is this, what's going on here. Because on a 1-to-1 with the brick, it's helping you out, but it's this of what we're doing here that feeds the soul, right?
You're talking about the ceiling? Is that what you're talking about? No.
I'm talking about my love of helicopters. No, I'm talking,
The iron sharpening,
Pointing right at Rich.
or the camaraderie, as I like to call it.
That's right. Okay.
Yes,
it is. That's one of the things. Okay, so I met Greg. I met Mark. I met all of you guys through the Lego hobby, obviously, because we're talking about it. But especially Gil and Mark, I've known for 20 plus years because of it. And it is a connection point, not to make a pun, but it is a commonality that we can share, even though we have, different views on other things, and that's fine. It is also just a way that you communicate, you inspire one another, and it gets you in an easy lane to get through some heavy traffic, and so that's really cool. All right, how many of you have actually got to the point where you're like, I think I'm done. I'm just totally out. I'm ready to sell them. I'm ready to give them up. Rich, we know that because you got more than Billin does. But anyway, I will say I got the closest I ever got was right after we did the set in 2008, 2009, and was having to deal with all the junk of trying to run an online group and keep a community kind of going and stuff. And you get all of a sudden, if your hobby becomes work, and Ryan, you're the exception here to the rule. And actually, I have a question for you about that. When your online hobby becomes more work and it starts adding stress, there was about 2008. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should pare this down and just kind of gear out. But I had someone just like that one, except a little boy, that was getting me back interested in it and bumped me through that. So I've been there. It was really close. And for months I never went to the brick, but my kid kept me bumping through it. So that's about as gray of an age as I got. Has anybody here gotten that close or said, I need to pare this down, I need to bail out? Mr. Nick, tell me about it. You're muted.
Just muted myself. After Brick Fair, I think 2017, that September, this room flooded and I lost it to water.
Oof.
And it wasn't from outside. It was a pipe leak inside this house that we caught actually in time, but we lost complete use of the room.
Okay, wait. Important. Was it a pipe coming in or pipe going out? That's the big difference.
Water tank. Definitely clean water. It was clean water. If it was a pipe going out, I think I'd be done. But so losing the room for a while and having to really rebuild it, I was down for a long time, for actually 10 months, I think. And that was, do I want to go through all this again? Because it was on the heels of a Brick Fair too, right? So you guys are the greatest. You're also exhausting.
Oh, I've got some stories about that.
Ain't that the truth?
But I don't know if this is a compliment, the pizza without pineapple. I don't know. That's you Canadians. You're so weird. So,
because he's got it right, man. He's got it right. David's got it absolutely right.
Because why not have fruit on your bread?
Hey, something happened.
I don't know. All right. So all right. So you're about out. Something. Disaster happened in the hobby itself. That's what happened when we were doing online community, and ClassicSpace.com was kind of going out of control. The set was not the Willy Wonka experience we expected, and there were a lot of negatives going on with the hobby itself, and it was just about done for me. I kind of have a feeling that there's some Lego fans looking at all these really expensive sets coming out, especially if they are more the set collector than the builder, and that's your hobby. That's your. I got a feeling there's going to be some Lego fans going, I can't keep up with this. What are y'all doing? And they may be bailing out. I don't know if they are or not. I've seen what looks like be some large collections hitting the the Facebooks and all that and the eBays and stuff. Do y'all think that's a possibility?
I think it's cyclical, and I'm looking for Matthew to chime in here from our Star Wars collecting commonality. That, you know, I mean, my wife and I, in '95, we restarted collecting Star Wars figures because that's when Power of the Force came out. Because we had lost all of our Star Wars figures from when we were a kid, but maybe a few. And so we got back into the hobby, and we were like, you know, we had to get one of every figure. One, you know, we were getting every ship, and we reached a point in time where we were like, whoa, this is impossible. We can't do this. And we said, all right, we're done. We're gonna reeling it in, dropping it off. And, you know, here I am, you know, probably 10 years after we made that decision, and I'm still buying figures from time to time. I'm still buying things here and there. I've sold a bunch of stuff, but then at the same time, I've taken that and turned it around and bought something else for a different hobby, or I've taken a hiatus from that hobby. And I've talked to other people, and they do the same thing. They'll come and go in their hobby, just like we're talking about it from a creative purpose. Same thing from a collector perspective as well. Rich, you got a question or comment?
What you got, Rich?
We gotta wait.
I do.
Oh, what?
I do.
Good night.
I'm.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Nice to see you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
You're saying, Rich?
I was going to say that I'm retired military, and there have been few times where I've not been able to have my brick with me at, you know, during a deployment or training or something like that. And so I've found that when I've actually been able to get back to my brick, that I've been able to build when I want to. And right now, there are some really, really great sets that are coming out. The Cantina, the Haunted House, Diagon Alley, the new Batman jet. I mean, it just blows my mind how many really cool things are out there. And I'm on a self-imposed hiatus from acquiring. I'm hopeful that...
Are you mad, you're mad like I am that all this great stuff is coming out?
Yeah,
and I'm on lockdown.
Yeah, I'm mad that I have a financial lockdown from doing anything because I'm in the midst of a move. You know, I mean, technically I'm going to be free to do whatever I want, whenever I want to do it in about 6 months after, you know, I've lost my job. I've got laid off. Sorry, folks. It's okay. I'm just going to retire. And I'm going to go retire. I'm going to buy a house pretty much outright. And then I won't have a house bill. And then I don't have any other debt. And I'm going to be able to buy Lego whenever I want. And I really hope that people on Facebook, yes, the win. I really hope that people on Facebook and wherever are saying Craigslist, oh, can't do the hobby anymore. And I get to buy their stuff from them.
Amen.
So 6 months from now, that's really great.
Yeah, no,
So
that was
I'm really happy about the future, but getting through today is a little tough.
Yeah.
But I going back to Chris's comment about, you know, you think you have something solutioned out where it's the right solution, you think about something else and you go to sleep and you wake up the next morning. I had to rebuild this front end like 5 times so that I could have the stability of having the canopy open.
Which is awesome, by the way.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so as Rich was saying, it's cyclical that people will buy and people will sell, and that's a benefit for us. So if there are people out there who get burnt out, and those of us who aren't burnt out, we're gonna hopefully reap the benefit. Potentially.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's right.
I mean, it's true. Yeah. Like, I mean, even like the behind me, like sort of these two, was it? Yeah, the lower shelf here, these guys here, they're all like high fantasy mythic legions characters. And about a year ago, a guy in BC was selling off a ton of them, basically for what they cost, like, you know, $30-$40, right? But again, he had reached the point. He's like, that's it. Like, there's so much stuff coming out. It's expensive. I can't do it. I'm going to liquidate the whole thing. So he basically let me have them like for cost for whatever reason, the line took off in the last 8 months. Now each one of those figures I bought for $30, they're going for hundreds, right? So, like you said, if you cash in on the cyclical for collecting, for stuff like this, and I call it static collecting because it is what it is, right? You buy it and you put it on the shelf, take pictures, whatever. That's it. The one thing for Lego I find too is that it's even more so because I think it's hard for people to see the value in keeping something longer purely as a display piece. Most of the time I find the stuff that's like being sold on the aftermarket for Lego, it's a giant tub, and it's the parents. If kid's gone, they don't want it. Here you go. Here's 8 pounds worth, right? So the secondary market for Lego that's not the official Bricklink or whatever, it's massive and it's endless. Like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have Kijiji down there, but here it's like a site that basically it's like eBay, but there's no fees. And it's mostly local. So you pick it up like Craigslist, I guess. But man, like I see stuff from there, like people literally have tote after tote of Lego. So for the aftermarket for it, it's insane. But kind of it's kind of its own thing. And back to Chris's point, to me, it just shows that, I don't think they're necessarily fans that are getting burnt out. It just sounds like kids who are growing out of it. But yeah.
Which can happen for both fans and
if there were yard sales going on, I'd be, scouting. I would have been scouting the yard sales all summer long. Yeah. And the thrift stores, sometimes you come across a real good deal of a couple of big tubs in some of these places. But it is what it is. COVID's kept me from acquiring stuff directly, and then the job change, I guess is the best way to put it, has pushed me to just be chill and play with what I got until I can't play with it because I'm storing it temporarily.
Temporarily.
So
temporarily.
To follow up on Dana's point, I also have collected Star Wars action figures and ships, and that was the primary hobby I had through the early 2000s. And I kind of got into Lego primarily to get the large capital ships that I knew would never be made in action figure scale. So that first version of the Star Destroyer is what got me back out of my dark age. And so the Lego store here up at Sugarloaf, what's now Sugarloaf, they had a damaged box set. I think I paid $180 for it. So which it goes for a lot more, And I got the Death Star too, the one, from the Return of the Jedi. And I had no room. So they went into storage. I did not build either one of these sets, but I didn't want to miss out on them. And so I would pick and choose in the early days for Lego because I was primarily buying action figure stuff. And then it flipped, I don't know, probably about 5 years ago, where Lego is the front hobby and I pick and choose, occasionally buying some action figure stuff here and there. I swore when I was only going to collect the 4-inch scale when the 6-inch Black Series came out, and I resisted until I saw the droids. I love droids, and I was like, I have to have that R4 in the 6-inch scale, and I took the plunge, and yeah, I'm kind of halfway back in. But
just when you think you're out.
The thing I learned from the action figures, though, is that when it came to the action figures, I was borderline obsessed. This is the OCD with having like one of each sculpt. And I felt like I needed to have one of every single action figure ever made for the Star Wars universe. And when I started doing Lego, I realized that would break me if I had that approach. And so from the very beginning, when it came to buying official sets, I had the attitude of pick and choose, buy the really big, awesome ones that you're going to want to display for 10 years on a shelf. Don't buy the tiny version when they're probably going to come out with a bigger, better version in a couple of years. So I don't know, around my Lego room, I've got the UCS sets, and they're all finished. So there's the Millennium Falcon and the Sandcrawler and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm actually gone back and rebricked some of the UCS sets that I missed, like Darth Vader's the Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter. I forget what else, but I've got a couple I've gone back and rebricked. I did the AT-OT, which they'll probably never produce again. And my goal is to get the really big ships. And, part of it as an OCD person is just being able to let go and not buy every Star Wars set that comes out, every unique figure, every set. I can't do that. And it actually in some ways is freeing once I came to that perspective.
Yep. But at the same time, for some of us who go back in Lego and say, hey, there's this theme that happened 30, 40 years ago, and I need all of them. but at the same time, though, it's finite. Because while Classic Space went from 1978, 79 to 1988, Spaceship, there was only 74 sets. So it's easy to get those 74 and bucket list check off and you're done. And you're good. So it's not like Lego is continuing to roll out Classic Space sets every year. It's done. However, I will say that at the same time that when I finished getting all the Classic Space sets, there was this little tiny hole in my heart that was no longer being filled by getting new Classic Space sets. So then it became, I got Neutron sets, and then I got those, and then I thought, I've got most of the Ice Planet sets. I might as well finish all the Ice Planet sets, and then, I can't do that. I got to go back and get the Blacktron 2 sets that I'm missing, and then, I can't have the Blacktron 2 without the Blacktron 1, so I might as well finish collecting all the Blacktron 1 sets. So it can still get into a problem.
That's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope either way, but at least it's still a little more finite because there's only so many sets that they made, as opposed to where if you're a Lego Star Wars collector, I mean, that machine is going to keep cranking and cranking and cranking until Disney dries up, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. So it goes both ways. It can be fulfilling, and also you run into that trying to get them all kind of scenario. So
I think it hit me when they started releasing the second version of a Star Wars set that there was never going to be an end to it.
Yep. The same thing with the action figures. When they started releasing, there are people out there who only collect Luke Skywalker figures, and they will never stop making those. So it's the same scenario.
Yeah, the new rule is although it doesn't happen, if we can't use it, if we're not going to build with it, we're not collecting it just to collect it.
Which is a good plan. It's a good plan.
We're out of money, and I don't want to have a small parts room, as cool as it sounds. It sounds like a nightmare, to be honest.
Yeah. So, Chris, I didn't really comment earlier on the burnout because I have never really. I only came back into the hobby 5 years ago, so it's too soon for me to have had a burnout.
That's right. Yours is coming, buddy. I'm just gonna.
But so here's the thing. And everybody on the panel has talked about various things of this. I don't just do Lego. I brew beer from time to time, which I haven't brewed in a long time because Lego has taken over most of that. But I've made costumes.
Wait, are you going to brew it and then use Mark's label on it? Are you going to do that?
I will make bottle labels for it, except for I was actually going to call it Raccoon City Pale Ale, but maybe I will do a lager this winter so I can do the Space Blue Ribbon. So that might have to happen. But having multiple hobbies makes it where you don't get burnt out because you get pulled from one to the other. And then I also have an issue where I come up with way too many ideas that there is conceivable time in the day to do. So where I might not get burnt out from the hobby in general or a creative block in general, I might get a block on a build where I don't know where to go with it. But then, something shiny. And the next thing I know, I'm building something else. I mean, I right now can think I've got at least 5 different projects that are in mid-motion.
What I'm hearing is I'm too creative and I have too many ideas.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Well,
this is how you know you're in trouble.
That's the situation I'm in. I can show you boxes and stores and sell boxes in the other room of started projects or planned projects.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say that other hobbies, I kind of pushed through the mid-'80s, early mid-'80s through the '90s for castle sets. and pirate sets, so I could have weapons and treasure chests and stuff for AD&D. I wanted to use AD&D with minifigs and do adventures with them and outfit your fig properly. Oh, no, you can't have 10 swords because your fig only has 2 hands. 2 hands, that's it. Oh, he's got how many swords? Who's carrying that? Did you buy a cart?
Exactly.
It just makes sense.
Yep.
What do you mean there's no panther to ride?
So have you ever done this? And this is as many things. Have you ever started a build and set it aside to start something else, and then you start picking off that incomplete creation to build on the one that you're doing? Which basically you're like you just turn that into a graveyard. You're picking parts of instead of ever finishing it. I have done that many times.
I can thankfully not yet, but I could see how that would happen.
It would happen to
Cannibalize.
you.
Yeah, I've done that once or twice, but only once or twice.
All right. So, hey, Ryan, while I see you're back, I want to ask you, you have a different perspective. You have a different path, I guess. You have been in the hobby, worked for the hobby. Because I know for me, I'm not sure how Mark, when we both had our disillusionment or whatever after we made our set, and that experience was not so great in some ways, and that caused some burnout. So, but you have grown up as a adult fan, and you still are. You have worked for the company through thick and thin, through small, and now doing big things, and you still love the brick and still do it, and you deal with it all the time. How do you balance that out? How do you keep yourself creative? How do you keep passionate about it?
So I guess the first thing to say is I haven't been very productive at home in quite a few years. And the people who have observed that and noticed that.
And I saw the joke roll through his head, and I told him not to say it.
Jeez. Okay. Whatever.
This evening, I would like to point out.
I could see it. I saw it in your eyes. It rolled. I saw it.
It's rolled. So sorry, go back to the question. So a lot of people knowing that about me from the last, decade that I've been with the Merlin Entertainment side of things is people will ask, are you burned out because of work? Are you burned out because you do it daily? I was a builder, then I was a designer, then I was a team lead, then a supervisor. And my usual answer is it's not work's fault because it's I'm sort of able to separate the entertainment side of it, the hobby side of it, the relaxing side from the part that's productive, that's numbers, that's delivery, and being around coworkers for whom it's also a very exciting thing. I've never really had an issue of burnout because of work. Most of my burnout comes from a couple people have named some things that affect me. It's other hobbies. I have too many plastic hobbies. But the usual blame I place is on my kids. I don't usually tell them, hey kids, it's your fault that I don't do a lot of Lego lately. But like I come home at night and Katie's dealt with them all day and we just kind of collapse and you're just tired and we'll buy stuff. And usually someone else mentioned buying stuff to use, not to display. That's usually my standard as well. Mm-hmm. So I buy things with the intention to build them and then take them apart and then use the pieces again someday. But the reason we've been sorting for like 2 months straight now is because we did that for years and didn't build with it. And now all the pieces are sitting mixed in tubs and we'd like to use them again. So now that we have a place that we know we're going to be for a while and the kids are getting a little more older and self-sufficient, that, this whole COVID, everybody's stuck at home thing, our stuff was stuck, in between moves. But now that we're done moving on back to work, we're really like gung ho about, okay, sort everything, clean up, purge whatever we need to purge. But creatively, I've never had what most people call builder's block. I've got a laundry list of ideas for years, and the list has just grown. And I wish I could build it all. I wish I had the time and the drive to come home and build it all every day. Energy wise, I don't have it, and it's not Lego's fault. It's not my company's fault. It's not any one person's fault. It's just life. I got old and tired and sad all the time.
This got darker than car shopping.
Sad is probably accurate.
Gray and balding. But going back to one of the things about collecting, this is not Lego related. Going back to the Star Wars thing, because I saw that happen for years in FBTB and on the internet and stuff. Like, just Star Wars collectors were doomed as soon as they started repeating things, and that in a lot of ways directed my Nerf fandom. I got into Nerf, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, and at some point I just had to say, I can't have every Nerf gun in the world. I've got to make a decision on what this collection is going to be. Is it for me? Is it for my boys? Is it for my girls? Is it for the family? Is it for the neighborhood kids to go nuts with? And I came up with a system for Nerf that was basically two of any gun. So I basically got a collection that's like, if I don't have another one of it, or I'm not going to get another one of it, I can sell it or give it away. And I'm just going to focus on the ones I want. I have 2 at most of any one gun. So like if I literally ever had an army in front of me, I could arm one side against the other and they have an identical armory to use against each other. And no one can complain that one side is better than the other. That's literally my entire Nerf mantra at this point. And I'll show pictures. I'll update on Flickr at some point because I'm nearly there where I can finally say, like, I'm done. I'm almost done with Nerf as a hobby because of some of the scores that I've gotten. But Lego, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I mean, we just keep buying more and more and more, and we keep buying storage for it all. And the only thing that's going to stop us at this point is the size of the house that we're in.
Yeah, so think of storage units and garages and sheds.
So mutually assured destruction is actually your guide to life when it comes to your kids and toys. Is that what you're saying?
A little bit, yeah. Like it's everybody's equal or nobody is. So in Nerf with Lego's a little different because everyone's different age and they've been getting gifts and collecting for a little bit, staggered ages from each other. But like again, going back to your original question, I've never had burnout because of work. I would never ever blame work because that wouldn't be fair. Now, is that the case for everybody who works for Legoland or works for Lego? Heck no. I know people who got burnt out very quickly because they would do it all day at work and they couldn't do it again at home. Like they were just sick of the brick, they were sick of the pieces, or they had just used all their creative juices on the thing that's paying their salary. So it wasn't a hobby anymore. And I'm just glad I never got to that point, but I always was able to retain that separation and love in my heart.
Cool.
When you with your Nerfdom, when you came to that buying decision, did you find that to be a relief? Like, okay, I have a strategy.
Definitely. Like it keeps. So a couple of people have mentioned like finding lots and things on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or the thrift stores. It makes it very easy to walk by something and go, I don't need that. It doesn't fit what I've set out for myself. Every now and then I'll get a couple new guns with a collection of things that I was aiming for, and I'll go, I might look for a second of these, but other times I'll go, no, this doesn't belong with what I'm doing, and I'll offset it a little bit.
I think I'm sure that same conclusion when it comes to capital shifts in the space themes. If I have 2 of them, I can walk past a great deal, which is still hard to do. Thanks, Chris, by the way. Still thankful and bitter at the same time for that.
I got you.
Yeah. But, so I just in talking about that, because I know I was chatting with David in the gallery earlier this week about the fact that he had gone through and he was sniping on eBay and had gotten, I forget the number, and Dave, you can correct me. I think he wound up with 12 Galaxy Explorers. Or no, yeah. Over like a year period of time. My mind is still reeling from that, and I wanted to bring it up and share it with everybody because I was like, how does that happen? But I mean, I know he works in his 12, so it was 12. So I know that he works in IT and I work in IT, and I'm very center brained. So I need a hobby that's creative, because if all I did was work on IT type stuff and I didn't get to be creative, I would have probably killed several people by this point in time just because I need that outlet.
We know.
And put their body parts in the trunk.
Again, you got to have a trunk big enough to fit 2 bodies. Yeah. Just saying.
And it's
if you build architecture, you can just
Yeah, exactly. Creative process is the best release for those of us who work in very technical careers, is my opinion.
And it's even though, like, I mean, like, I actually am a writer for a living. So even though, like, I'm, you know, stuff I write isn't actually fantastically interesting all the time, just due for what its purpose is. But even though it is like it is a creative field, I still have a book beside me all the time, which has, like, you know, it has writing ideas. Like I remember, like, last year for her birthday, I was writing and illustrating a novella for my daughter. And it was like a fantasy thing, and because it was really meant to be, it was a lead in to a D&D game that I was going to run for her and my wife, and it was actually her backstory, but I did it as a novel that sort of like ran her character from its birth all the way up till it started the adventure, the campaign. But
Chris, don't you say that I go overboard on things? I just want to point that out.
They're locked in for like 8 months a year with the snow. They have nothing else to do. So
that's right. It's everything's just blank white for month after month. So you have to live inside the theater of the mind. But yeah, I have to, like, write all this stuff down. But my point is being, like, in that book, like, there was ideas for that stories. There's builds. There's stuff I want to photograph. There's all this kind of thing. And that's the thing I find is that if you find that, you know, to make Nick's teeth gnash a little bit more, if you find that you're overly creative, or you think you are anyway, or you play at being, then basically I find that it helps to actually organize those things. And like I've seen almost like a lot of the people here, like they'll sketch out their ships beforehand. I see often Chris will have the conceptual, and then, you know, I'll see the thing afterwards. And it feels like that's part of the process too. And I think that actually that planning out beforehand, it helps you avoid your dark age, because it kind of keeps you, like, mentally engaged, even though if you're not, you know, going through it. And it's like someone else was saying that, you know, they build digitally as well. I think that Brian was saying that he'll dabble in that. So it's kind of good, even if you're not actually doing the physical bricks, to kind of just to keep your headspace there, you know.
Yeah, I want to. So one of the things I do at night is, if I'm stressed out, I'll hop on Pinterest and just look at buildings of beautiful buildings, because I'm mostly a modular builder, and I keep, you know, I'll save to my Pinterest file, or I'll just Google different types of architecture. And there have been times where it's 12:15 a.m. and I really, really want to walk into the Lego room and just build something, you know. So like that can stimulate, if I'm in a dark period where I'm sort of tired of sorting and I haven't, you know, I'm not feeling motivated. If I find a building that just, that building has a great look, I just really, really want to do that one. And that can just reignite my fire in 24 hours or 2 hours sometimes.
Every time that we have a lug meeting or a virtual lug meeting or just a get together, Matthew and I and a couple other guys would have a guys' night of just Lego chit chat. The Zoom meetings for the lug on Saturday. But anytime we go to a lug meeting, I would always come home completely energized to want to build, because it was either somebody brought something in, or they talked about something that happened in the past, or mentioned to go look at something. Instagram has become really inspirational today for anytime I'm looking for, I don't even go looking for ideas. It just pops up and I'm like, oh, that gives me an idea for something I want to do. It's really hard for me to go into a creative rut, because there's so many things out there inspiring me. But I will say, and I had a friend of mine bring this up the other day, and we talked about this. I don't know if we talked on a Monday or on the lug meeting, about being intimidated or overwhelmed by the other things that are out there. I mean, it took me a long time to wrap my head around watching some of these displays. I mean, we talked about David, I think on Monday, Chris's ships, Mark's ships, Adrian's stuff that he's done. I mean, God, that Firefly. I mean, I'm done. There's a point in time where you go, why do I even bother? Because I can never do what these other people have done. And so I don't have that feeling, but my friend who had this feeling, I kind of had to say, you got to use that as inspiration, and also realize that these people all didn't build those things in a weekend or in a year. It took a long time.
Adrian spent 6 months on the Firefly, and when I asked him, he's a friend of mine. I've talked to him about his big builds. He spent almost 2 years on the DS9.
Yeah.
And so stuff doesn't happen in 6 months or 6 weeks. And I take from myself that just because they can do those kinds of things and they've been lucky enough to have space, time, money, resources of the actual brick to actually do some of those things, doesn't belittle some of my projects. You know, I've got some really cool, intricate things like this little, I call it a Phipps craft instead of Mark Sandlin's.
Like Spiff
craft.
Yeah.
But it's no less good than Mark's. You know, there's a lot of engineering in here. There's air intakes. There's propulsion. There's thrusters. There's anti-grav. It's got a cool cockpit. It's got some really a lot of stuff packed in here. Controls. I got all kinds of printed scopes in there for control panels and all kinds of stuff. It's no less good than a Firefly for me, because it's A, it's mine. B, I built it. I've designed it. I've made it my own. I can make variations on this theme, and it's stuff that I could do that's mine, and I can play with it. It's here. It can fly around. I got a little police one. That's a different design. Got landing gear and everything.
Absolutely.
I will say that
that was kind of what I was telling him, was like, you know, you got to step back and realize, and I think I saw it go in the chat here, that, yeah, you got to build for yourself, not for anybody else. But it is very, I mean, and it's very easy to get swept up and caught up in the whole grandeur of everything. And especially when you see those massive builds, and going to shows is a double-edged sword. You get creative input from people, but at the same time, you can also be intimidated in it. It can hit some people hard.
I have to say that, you know, Nick intimidates me every brick fair. So
that's just when he walks in the door, not by what he builds.
Yeah.
He just, you know.
Yeah.
I got to tell you,
I'm very excited to see what him and Dan come up with every year. And, you know, I've even tried to weasel my way into actually trying to become part of the group that they do to build. But yeah,
You're
I am.
You're helping.
So
I never get invited to the meetings, you know, whatever. Yeah.
I was looking for it. I was looking for it. You're talking about the complexity of the builds versus the creative of the builds and stuff like that. And it's a balance of both. I was trying to find it. I think it was Brick Fair 11. Some guy had made this micro scale 2 little planes, and then basically the planes were made out of about 8 pieces. The propellers was just a clear dish that
Gary Brooks.
And it they made
Gary,
who
I
was
think it was Daniel Brooks or Gary Brooks.
Okay, I can't remember.
Like 17-year-old kid, I think.
Yeah. And the build was fabulous in what it communicated with a handful of pieces. And when and I've got it saved somewhere. I can't find it, but I mean, I know I sat there and looked at that for a long time, and I know every piece he used, and I made my own and everything. And it reminded me is it you don't always have to throw every brick you have at it. You do have to put your skill into it to make it work, and your creativity. Yeah, what you got, Matt?
Okay, so the first year that I went to Brick Fair and Chris Giddens displayed, I grew up classic space. So I was like, oh, someday I'm going to start building spaceships, right? And I kind of fell into the modular thing when I was working at the Lego store. And Chris starts unpacking, and he gets out one very large spaceship and sets it down. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And then he gets out another one in black, and a one in white, and one in blue. And I was
just showing off.
I was
Yeah. Oh
literally,
yeah. Oh, it is seriously grotesque when he does this.
Spaceship envy.
Thank you.
I was literally like, what is left to do? Like, I mean, I was literally overwhelmed by the massiveness and the creativity. And not only were they big, they have interiors. They have interiors with people doing stuff. I hate doing interiors, and I build buildings. Like, my buildings are mostly empty, because I just like that. I like the front and the back. That's what I like. But there's guts to them, and there's like people doing little fun things. And I walked away, and I was like, I guess I'll just work on buildings. It was intimidating.
Have you seen the inside of my buildings?
And you're a nice guy.
Have you seen?
And you're not egotistical and lording it over. Like, look at these badass spaceships I made. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that word. But it's intimidating.
Have you seen the inside of my building?
There we go.
Fair enough. I deserved it.
I like to have it the inside of all of my buildings. It's furniture and people and animals and there's stuff all inside mine. So I fully get the I fully get to fill the spaceship with people thing.
Well, here's the thing: you got to realize that the guy that's pulling those spaceships out, number one, has stressed over driving them there, and he's also considering, I'm so stupid bringing all this stupid stuff to this stupid show when I should just be having a good time, and I got to pack this stupid stuff back up and go back home. Trust me, that's what he's got going on in his head.
And then Shannon helps you.
But the flip side of that is I've been in it for 40 years. You've been in it for how many? I don't know how long you've been super
5,
serious.
6.
That makes a difference. If I had Rich's bricks, I could keep building them, but I'd need a better car to get them there, right? But it doesn't matter if you, like Mark and I mentioned this. He mentioned this the other day. We were at Brick Fair, and some kid had 100 of a very rare Star Wars trooper, and the mom brought into Brick Fair. He had a base plate with those troopers stacked on it, mock card, and off. And I'm like, that just because you have the pieces doesn't mean you have the hobby or have the skill to be creative. Now because a collector, and that's fine. I got a feeling Dad was a doctor, and the Lexus brought that there. But but for me, I'm like, well, that's just cheating. That's just buying your way to win the game, like a lot of people do alone games today. And I have no respect for that. I do have respect for the kid that's the same age that was able to build that little airplane and the little barn and it showed motion. It showed it was the most amazing thing, and it was made out of 20 or 30 pieces. So that kind of stuff, fortunately, we get to be inspired by, and also let you know that you might not need to put every engine on the back of that thing. Maybe you need to pare that down a little bit and be a little more efficient, and don't just cram pieces on it. Think about what pieces are the best looking and everything. So
and that's actually it too, is that like it's the evolution of your own design, and that comes through, like whether it's a spaceship, whether it's a building, whether it's a mosaic, or whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter, because you can tell when someone has built that thing and then either taken their time and sort of, as they build it, unbuild it, build it, unbuild it, build it, unbuild it, till they distill it down to its nicest form, right?
Right.
And that shows through. Like that, it absolutely shines through when that happens.
And that's what kills me about like Tyler. He does that. I mean, he doesn't have to pare it down. He's auto in that mode, it seems like to me, and builders like him. By the way, here's what, speaking of Tyler, this is what he said today when I asked him about that. He said, because he's gone through some building funks too. And let me find it. Here it goes. He says, sometimes you need to do something else, which was what we said. This could be something other than Lego, which is what we said, or something you've never done with Lego before. All right. I know that since we moved here, I started building mechs. I'm terrible at building mechs, but I still kind of am. I have to kind of beg, borrow, and steal off of Chubby Bots and other folks. But I've enjoyed the mess out of building mechs because I'm like, oh, I didn't think I could do this. And then, yeah, I borrowed his kind of design here and then went off on my own. And that's actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. And so I went through, I've done like a ton of mechs. And now that Lego's got a mech in every line of everything, I'm like, I don't know how to build those anymore. But but that actually relaxed me to then get back to where I want to be. It gives me some skills and some accomplishment and everything like that. So where are some places maybe you've gone that you build out of your norm that kind of helps you get back to your norm?
So I wanted to actually mention this earlier because as a Lug ambassador and having the opportunity to work with a group of people, that's one of the reasons that every meeting we do a mock challenge. When I first got into the Lug, there was sometimes somebody would throw out a theme that may or may do, or maybe they talk about doing a group build or something like that, but never it took more coordination and it wasn't happening. So I started doing mock challenges, and we'd throw out a theme or a style, or we go micro scale, or we go minifigure, or we do a vignette, or we're doing ball and joint, or something to get people to build something that they weren't used to building. And at first it was a little resistant, but then once people started seeing the other things that people were building, it just started fueling itself. And now every meeting, that's my favorite part, is seeing what people have brought to the table for this new challenge that they may not have ever thought about building it before.
That's what we do on Tuesdays.
And
We
for
have
most of us-
we have a Tuesday building challenge with our group. Tuesday or Wednesdays, we'll throw out a challenge and build the challenge and see who can do what you can do. I know for myself that I tried to build kind of just outside of whatever I've been building for a while. So a couple of years ago, even though I have built steampunk in the past, I actually built steampunk as part of a Brick World challenge, built the set fast and then built it into something else. Actually won that. Steve Witt was the judge, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're the winner." So I actually won something at a Brick World for that challenge, steampunk. But I started a couple of years ago doing steampunk stuff because I wanted to kind of get into that with a couple other people that just phenomenal steampunk builders. I just wanted to, see if I could match that kind of level of detail and complexity in a simplified way. And my other thing that keeps me kind of fresh is that I'll take a set that Lego's made or some other designers made, and because the size constraint to me for a minifig is not correct, it's too small, like 16 wide, does not get it. It just doesn't happen. You got to go 24 at minimum for a small house. I can do 16. I've done 16, but then it's like this long, which is crazy. You can do that, but it's just not right. But 24 is really the best. And or I'll see somebody else's design from say Pinterest or I think that's David Brooks.
That's just crazy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I found it. I was excited.
That's right. So I'll take whatever their design is, Brick Builders Pro, or one of those other sites. Buy the instructions, buy them, and take whatever they've got and just make it something better. Like there's a little Yellow Rose Cafe as part of a 4-part set from one of those aftermarket set guys, and you had to bump out the back to put a kitchen in and widen it out so that I could put a staircase in so that people could actually sit and eat and have food. There's another site that had a Chili's, and my Chili's was I decided that I didn't want the bar right in the front door and no place to sit and hardly any kitchen. And the bathrooms like right there. It's crazy. So I redesigned that and made that bigger so that your fig could actually dine and have a wonderful experience. Or shoving two Parisian cafes together. It's 32 wide, but you have to walk through if you're going to go to the apartment above, you have to walk through the outside seating in the back. I was like, no, that's not right. You got to do something about that. You know? So keeping my mind fresh to do those kinds of things. Oh, and by the way, I did one floor at a time with both of them. That way I made sure I had enough of the olive green bricks so that I spaced it out for every floor. And that was a challenge.
The nice thing about our club builds, our club challenges, I should say, is that for most of us, most of the people who will build and show, it's not their area of strength. And so, you know, if we did something that was space, obviously Mark and Chris are very experienced in that. And if we did something that was like Greg Ball contraption, Meredith and Brian would have bring a lot of experience to the table. But for most of the people, it's something that we're not particularly skilled at, and so it kind of levels the playing field a little bit, and it just lets me be creative. My favorite one was we did the pop-up book remake, and I made 2 entries, and I made a Moby Dick that I was very proud of, only to have somebody else make a Moby Dick that was clearly better, and that was okay. I admired it because I had tried to do Moby Dick, and I liked theirs a lot, and then I did Don Quixote. So it was a lot of fun, and I never would have done that if it weren't for the contest.
Yeah, no, I got it. Well, I wanted to say I think, Dana, to your point, that's helped the monthly builds and stuff like that actually has energized me. I don't build under pressure well. If I'm having to build something because I have to build it, then I build it terrible. You know what I'm saying? But these challenges being lighter and all that kind of stuff, I have been good for me. And so building vignettes and stuff like that. So I made this vignette of the dudes. We talked about it.
Go to big screen on that
last week, right?
Gallery's got to see that. Go to full screen.
Yeah.
You need to sell that on ideas.
Because I have stolen your star idea, the star technique. It's just awesome.
I would buy that set. I would buy that set.
I stole that star technique from somebody else like 10 years.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, but to be able to, because I usually don't think about the figs and motion and movement and creating some action while it's standing still very much. I just build a spaceship. It has engines, it goes that way, So those kind of challenges to put some organic elements in it, to all that kind of stuff, those have sharpened me up, and I get excited about those little builds. In fact, for the first time, I didn't mind not getting as a vote or whatever, or one of mine. I'm like, well, they didn't like that. I tore it apart, kind of. So I sorted it out. But then I'm like, but that was fun, and I really don't care because I don't want the bag of sort. But anyway, the prize
bag of sort anyway. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want it. The eyeballs, I don't want them. But but then again, I'm excited also to see the other builders in the group that these challenges are kind of skilling them up, and it makes it harder to build at that level. And that's super fun. It pushes me along. And having people in the community is another way, I think, that keeps you pushed along. We resurrected a long lost friend in John Palmer, and on our Discord that we're in, Mark can probably attest to that. They talk a lot too. That all of a sudden the community kind of poking at him and being able to get into his head and his creative heart a little bit. All of a sudden, he's sorting his bricks out. He's getting ready to build. He's put some things together. And it's that community aspect, I think, that also, when you lose that community, like we lost ClassicSpace.com community about the time that I burned out, I lost that push and that iron sharpening iron and that, hey, I got to build better than that guy. I got to step it up to keep my respect points. I don't know. I really don't want to do it.
That's absolutely true. Like that's what Jamie Neufeld and we talk about all the time. Is that back in either the Lugneck Space days, ClassicSpace.com, even the beginning days of Flickr too. That during that time, like man, when you came in and you logged in the morning and you saw what people had posted last night or something, you're like, that's awesome. That's great. That's cool. That's amazing. And then, by the time that lunchtime hits, that scratch pad I was talking about beside your computer, it's full of ideas, right? And then you're waiting to go home. The dog's crossing his legs. You don't care. He's starving. You're like, yeah, see you, pal. I'm going downstairs, right? So it's like that whole thing we really miss, because that was, but it was also due to our ages, no kids, maybe not married, whatever, right? So it's kind of, that was like the perfect storm of times. But like you're saying though too, I think that we still get some of that today, but it's not as like, there's so many different channels now, right? We've talked about this before. It's just it's hard to sort of like to stay within a certain like vibe, right? Because everyone's posting to different places and that. So unless you're actively going around and looking at things, it's hard to get into that. But yeah, it's definitely something I think that, at least for most of us old guys, it really sort of brought up our game back in our mid 20s or early 30s, right? It really opened like everything up. And then some like me have just been stagnating ever since. But other, people like, like yourself and stuff like that, Chris, like I said, I take a look at that ship that you just built. On the surface, sure, it's like, it's an elongated box with, thrusters on the back and the thing and stuff. However, though, when you take a look at that, it's, I'm keeping it clean. I'm waiting for Dana. He's not here. He's gonna blow it before this is over. So it's like a race now. I'm trying to keep it going till he really lets.
You did turn it into animal abuse like 2 minutes ago.
True. But that thing, when you look at that,
take the dog out. Go ahead.
It's refined, right? Like it's like a ship you would have built 10 years ago, but it's been distilled down to its core parts and then sort of like and then modernized, right? So that shows like a real sort of like evolution of build, which is great, and that's what it's about. And that just shows that you're still progressing, right?
Yeah,
which I think it's amazing.
And it's good to be around, creatives in the community, young ones and old ones. It's to see, okay, new skills, new parts, new smaller parts to do more detail and everything. So yeah, and it is. Here's the thing, I think that one of the important skill that is a make or break for a builder at especially the early stage, you need to accept the criticism and take it. I mean, you need to let your skin be thick, and you need to be coachable when somebody, even if somebody's being a turd to you, they may be right. They're like, and you need to be wise enough to accept that criticism and see which is valid and which is not, and take it in and snap it on your next build to say, okay, yeah, they were right. I went way overboard there. Let me tone that back. Or I didn't do enough with this. Let me tone that up and accept that criticism, because we were pretty kind of rough on each other back in the day. I mean, we were really honest, like, dude, that sucks, that kind of thing. Yeah. And usually that wasn't that was like the between us. Here, let me share this. And Mark would be like, dude, no, put this there. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
we were a cult. That's true.
Yeah, I think I remember Brom being real, like, straight to the point, no emotion, no fluff, and like that was my first introduction to like honest critique, like hard criticism. And I was like, well, but you're kind of rude about it, but like he was right. Freaking Brom was always right. He would.
How old were you? So what do you want?
Like
How old were you?
22 or 23. I don't remember now. But like for someone critiquing my work, I remember him standing out, like just always straight to the point. I'm like, okay, eventually I figured out he was right, and I just started making
changes. He's been that way
changes.
for as long as I've known him, and that was like 17, from 17. Oh, straight, dry, and to the point.
I think Brom, there's a few years that we didn't have contact. I think his brain got too big, and they took a part out, and it's pulsating in a jar. but he's Bluetoothed into it, and he's refilled the head with that brain. So
that's what's powering the exoskeleton, man. Come on.
That's right. All right, hey guys, we've almost gone 2 hours, which doesn't feel like we've been going very long at all. So I'm hoping that maybe if you're a builder and you're feeling a little burnout, that you've got some. Hey, look at that! You've got some ideas here. Build something different. Take a break and a breather on occasion. Look at clip art. That's something I didn't bring out. Look at concept art. If you, especially for space, keeping a catalog. I've got tabs of concept art that I keep, and there's a couple of places I go looking at concept art. That concept art will spark something creative. If you're building something big and you're stuck, build something small, build something different, and all those kind of things to keep your fire going. Hang out with folks who have similar interests that can inspire you. We mentioned tonight, and let somebody even critique you to the point where it may discourage you, but it may actually then pick you back up and say, okay, well, let me just start back over ground level. And, be honest with yourself, wake up and go, this is junk, but then have the wherewithal to rebuild it. All those kind of things we've talked about can bump you along, and it's okay to, and even just going and buying a set and building it when you're burnout actually can do that too. And I know Lego loves it when I say that. So there's lots of ways to bump you through.
Not a sponsor.
That's right. Not sponsored by Lego or Lego related companies. But those things you can do. But you also have to work your way through the burnout and everything. For some of us, Lego has been a comfort. And when it becomes not a comfort, then you need to find another comfort to bump you along. But you can work through that burnout by doing some of those things. And hopefully you found some of those things through our chat tonight. We've had a great chat tonight. Had a great group in the chat over there as well. So thank y'all for joining us tonight. Any last thoughts, friends, before we go? No.
I'm just amazed that we went the whole thing and it's on the rails. It's like it's like a roller coaster. It's like Six Flags in here tonight. It's amazing.
Yeah, so
what are you doing? What are you doing? That's the kiss of death.
we are in the
now, if you'll excuse me.
Do not dump the toilet in the station, please. That is what I'm trying to
Keep your hands and arms inside the ride at all times.
All right. Just to let you know that I mentioned before, and I mentioned it again, I'm going to be on vacation with my family next week. The shows will show up here on Monday, Messy Monday, and the Thursday Night Live will happen. Fleebnork will be in charge, so I will have the power to pull it if I will be monitoring.
Supply teacher.
So, if I lose my job, then I'm coming to live in one of y'all's basements. So anyway, thanks for joining me. You guys mean a lot to me. Like I said, you guys have got me through a lot. Oh, I didn't even mention, did I show y'all my new work surface I got today? Look at that.
Nice.
Ooh. It's so clean.
That is a divider from a bathroom stall. That's what that top is. It has been in storage at church for 20 years. We found it. We were cleaning. It has never been installed or used. It still had the plastic sheet on it. I mean, like we had a 4x5 piece of plastic to pull off the satisfying plastic pull today on both sides. So it's nice and clean. It's never been peed on, not yet.
It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. You can't roll that back. You should have never told us.
Come back for the 9
never
o'clock
told
show.
us.
Yeah. So I'm building on the urinal plate here, and but anyway, this is table number 1, right?
PP.
What's your address? I'm going to mail you
number 1
cookies.
Have you ever noticed they put the website for urinal cakes on the urinal cake so you're looking at it? And I can't decide if that's good advertising or not. But I noticed, I guess. I don't know. All right. So now it's going off the rails. It's good to have y'all here tonight. Thanks for joining us. We will see y'all next time. Make sure you like and subscribe and set an alert and all that kind of stuff with the buttons and the bells around here. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great night. Thank you, my friends. See y'all later.
Good night, YouTube.
Good night, YouTube.